On today's hot seat, we have another special guest, Will Urbina, producer, actor, and voiceover artist, and someone I worked with on a film 4 years ago. He has some pretty interesting things to talk about, so stay with us, and we'll be right back.
And your host, Greg Cardone.
Welcome, and welcome back to the hot seat. I'm your host, Greg Cardone, and Will Urbina is with us today. He's our first guest of the new year. And speaking of New Year, Happy New Year to everyone. We did take a little bit of time off. We were getting some of our promotions done for our premiere for Grinders. Yes, I had to throw that in there. We are all about self-promotion and self-promoting our guests here. Today we have Will Urbina. Welcome, Will. Great to have you on.
Thanks, Greg. I appreciate it. Thank you for having me in the hot seat. So this is exciting.
Yeah, I'll tell you, it's been a while since we see each other on Facebook, but
Right.
you know, tell our guests and our viewers how we met.
That's very interesting. First of all, thank you for having me. And I seen the episodes. Congratulations on the film, by the way,
Thank
which
you.
I see that it's doing amazing. When we met, it was crazy because it was a project that I was very happy when I first got casted. I was excited, and when we got to set, it wasn't anything that I ever thought it was going to be. You know how people think that being an actor, it's glamorous and actors have this beautiful lifestyle and they're sitting on a trailer most of the times and they're just sipping on champagne. Well, that was not the case of the project that we met in. Needless to say, we didn't even have water on set, so it was pretty bad. It was pretty bad, but the good thing about being on that set, it was the opportunity that I have to meet amazing people, to keep in touch with people like you, and now I'm in your show, 4 years later, and I was able to meet other actresses, Ellie Kate, which she played my daughter on a pilot series that I did, a couple years ago, that we're still working on that. And I was able to meet, Dennis Madden, rest in peace, that he passed away last year too. Um, so it turned out to be something amazing. I could have had two things. I could have been bummed out and said, you know what, I don't want to do this ever because, this is not what I thought it was going to be. Or I can go ahead and see the good side of it, which was meeting amazing people and having a great time, actually.
Yes, definitely. Even though it didn't turn out the way we
Right.
expected,
Yeah.
it was, sometimes you have to take the good with the bad
Right.
or the bad with the good, where everybody drove a distance to go to where we were going.
Right.
It was hot.
Very
There
hot.
wasn't any water. I think
No.
we got chips, maybe, and there were no sandwiches that were promised to be
Right.
bought. And basically, we decided to do part of the film ourselves and
Right.
told the director, you know what, you just need to go over there, give somebody else the camera, and we're going to shoot our
Right.
own. And you know what? It could have been something, but it didn't. But as any film you go on, it's always a learning experience. And
Yeah.
meeting, you and Chris, and working with Bunny Dennis,
Mhm.
um, Angela, Ellie Kay. It just was, it was something that was more than what what was supposed to be. And
Yeah,
here we are. And look what, 4 years later, look what each one of us is doing now.
yeah,
That was the beauty of it.
yeah. Absolutely. I totally agree. But those are experiences you learn when you get on this. I actually started getting in this business. It was just pure luck. I went to school for audio, video, and media production. I wanted to be behind the scenes. I wanted to direct, live shows. At the time was, Ricky Lake, Mary Povich, you know, um, Oprah. I wanted to do that. I wanted to be on live TV. I wanted to, do the 6 o'clock news. That's what I was doing. But when I was in school, because of my personality, 90% of the time, people will put me to be the face while everybody else was behind the scenes. I did end up graduating, but I graduated because I was in front of the camera, not behind. So I remember doing our final project in school, and I wasn't assigned a task. They put me as talent, and that's how I started doing. That was my first short film. I believe I hung myself, and they did this whole crazy thing where I hung myself, and it was like an anti suicidal promo video we did for school, and that's how I started. But it was something that I've never really thought that I was gonna ever do, uh, because I felt like I didn't have a certain look.
What is, I don't use the term actor. If somebody says, well, what do you do? I just say, I'm in the television and film industry.
Right.
And they're like, oh, so you make those kind of films? I'm like, I don't know what those kind of films you're talking about.
Right.
G- Gutter mind. You're in the
That's
gutter.
when I tell people I'm producing something, that's the first thing they ask, and I'm
First
like,
thing I
what?
was like, yeah, so we know where our society is going. And I says, well, actually, I'm a, commercial and film actor.
Right.
And I do a couple other things, part time. And they're like, well, you don't look like an actor. I'm like, I don't know. What does an actor look like? Does Danny DeVito look like an actor?
Right.
And I use him as an extreme because he's like, 4'8". He played the Penguin in Batman. He
Right.
was on Taxi. I was like, so what does an actor look like? And
Back.
it's such a stigma.
Yeah.
Not everybody is Brad Pitt. I'm sorry.
No. And it's this industry has evolved so much. Back a few years ago, they had this cookie cutter image of what an actor should look, and lately, and a lot of opportunities have come for just a regular person, regular Joe looking person, because you always need to evolve. Same thing with television, same thing with movies, and just the way Hollywood or TV used to portray actors and the way they looked, it's actually completely different now.
Yeah, that whole the beautiful people, the 70s, you look at all these old 70 ads and everybody was, this skinny and
Mhm.
twiggy and the models and it changed and evolved over the years to where if you weren't beautiful or Cindy Crawford or Mila Jovovich and this, you couldn't make it. Ted Danson and
Right.
oh my Lord. But now I asked some friends and it's, hey, are you interested in being in a commercial? And the first thing they come up with is, well, I'm not an actor.
Yeah.
I said, we're not asking you to, all you do is just sit there. They're looking for normal, regular, everyday people because this is the product that they're trying to, or the demographic that they're trying to attract. I
Yeah.
said, just sit there and be yourself. If you come up with one more excuse, forget it. and they could have gotten the gig.
Right.
It's look, I'm going to recommend you. They're looking, and I've recommended quite a few people, and said, okay, mention my name. I have somebody. Just forget it. So I basically have stopped asking people,
Right.
are you interested? Because when I get the casting, hey, if you know somebody that's this, and this, well, if it doesn't fit me, I'm going to try to pay it forward and promote somebody else. And I've given up. I'm sorry, but you can't help people more than they don't want to help themselves there.
Absolutely.
So you're doing a docu-series, which I've been following. Can you tell us a little bit and give us some insight of what you're doing with that?
Yeah, absolutely. So this is something very exciting for me. I'm definitely stepping out of my comfort zone, from doing narrative, TV shows and doing short films. I'm stepping out of my comfort zone. This has been a 2 years in the making. Always looking for material and looking for people to share their stories. For some reason, I wasn't hitting the correct market, or I wasn't targeting the correct people. Um, so I had no luck. I did was doing some small stuff with a nonprofit organization here in Orlando. Um, they were giving me the opportunities to go and do little segments and reports about their food drives and the things they would do to help the community and the women and things like that. And but I always wanted to go ahead and do this 6-part docu series. And I went ahead and I posted something online one day, and I started getting a very, very good feedback from people actually wanting to share their stories. So we have about 5 stories that are locked in right now. It's going to be 6 episodes, so I'm still looking for one more. But yeah, it's exciting. I mean, we have anything from uh, a filmmaker that does films against anti-bullying. We have another organization that they are from wounded warriors, so they help warriors that come overseas to integrate themselves back into society. And we do have another gentleman that he's a filmmaker that he's doing about the new laws that are going to be passed in Florida towards the LGBTQIA community. And we have somebody's story that we're following, a plus size model that she is actually a model and actress, and she's a plus size, and she's actually broken some of those stigmas, like we were just talking about Hollywood. And she's actually following her dreams to be an actress and being a model. So we have some exciting things. We have another story of a domestic violence survivor that she had to escape in the middle of the night with her 5 kids. So these are stories that I want to share with people out there, and even if it helps one person, I'm gonna feel like I've done something.
And that's what we're trying to address with this show is to bring all sorts of issues and anything that, like you were saying, if one person can get something out of this or maybe help them or motivate them to do something where we're having some future guests come on and they're going to talk about maybe some of their personal issues which they're willing to talk about and that has helped other people in certain
Right.
situations. So, that's a key point. If one person can find something interesting or beneficial and like what you're doing and discussing, social issues, that's what it's all about. Not looking on your cell phone and totally isolating yourself and I don't know, oh, don't I can't hear this. I can't, the three monkeys.
Right. And I feel like, to be honest with you, Greg, I feel like if we have the courage to get in front of a camera and we have the courage to get in front of a microphone, we should use that, not just for entertainment, but also for education, and also to provide help. And and because there's a lot of people out there that they just want to hear maybe something that they're going through. They want to hear somebody that has gone through the same thing as them. And we have the capability to get it behind a microphone or get in front of a camera and that's very powerful. Not everybody can do it. And I'm a producer and I work sometimes behind the scenes, and not a lot of people like to be in front of a camera. And if we have that ability, I think we should also use it to help others, to be a voice.
And that's and that's was something that I wanted to do with this show. Oh, people say, "Well, you have a podcast." I'm like, "Well, I think podcast is the generic term for sitting and talking and doing it over the internet, where I explain it's an internet interview show
Right.
because I came from a television production and direction background where I was always behind the camera. And then, my buddy Dennis Mallon, which I met at another place where we were working at together, and, Dennis had taught me well. Obi Dennis Kenobi had taught me well, seriously, and I thank him for everything.
Yeah.
And it just, and that was the start of it. And to do this show was, okay, let's do it. And when I look at the very first show that we did, I kind of cringed at it,
Right.
but the show evolved because of guests like yourself, and the other 20 shows that we did helps the show evolve. You know what? And it's made me a better person.
Right.
Every time I interview somebody, it makes me a better person because I'm learning more about you and the other guests, and it just makes me feel more comfortable. Like we're just sitting. Okay, we could have been sitting in a room and having the same discussion.
Right.
So it's a very casual and easygoing environment that we're working on. I tell you, we're going to take a quick, short break to hear from our sponsors. We did pick up a new sponsor, Hurricane Air. They will blow you away. But I don't know. We just made that up. So we're going to take a quick look at that, a quick break. And when we come back, we're going to hear some more interesting stories and other project that Will is coming up. So just stay with us. We'll be right back.
Promotional consideration paid for in part by Nuggo's Wonder Nuggets. See Synth Wunderbark.
And we're back with the hot seat. Definitely want to thank our sponsors, Maximus Films, Oleander PR, H. Melvin James, author extraordinaire, and our new sponsor, Hurricane Air. They'll blow you away. So we are with Will Urbina. I'm telling you, we're having a great time here. It's so informative. It's great, definitely great to have you on. How many times did I say that? And I'm going to keep saying it because you have some pretty interesting things coming up. So, Will, tell us about this magazine interview that took place. Give us a little insight.
Yes, yes, and thank you again for the opportunity, Greg. I appreciate it. And
My
you
pleasure.
know, 2023 actually finished very very well for me. I was featured on Orlando Voyager magazine, and that particular piece, they do a stories about people that are you know uh, the people that want to show other people that it can be done. So I was featured on there, and they took me back. They took me back to my childhood. They took me back, how I grew up, and what the reason is for me to do this, what I do now. So it was great. And people could go ahead and read the full story at orlandovoyager.com and just find my name in there, and you'll see my face.
And such a pretty face. And you heard that old saying, you have a face for radio. People,
Right.
that's, oh, you got a face for radio. You started in voiceovers. And that's
I
something that I need to learn from you a little bit in voiceovers. People say I have like one of those fast food drive-throughs. Oh, would you like fries with that shake?
yeah.
Tell us a little bit about your voiceover career.
So I did start it as a voiceover actor. I had this itch. When you stay away from the arts and you stay away from doing something creative, and like we spoke earlier, I just felt like I didn't have the look, but I still wanted to be entertaining people. So I said, well, why not start in voiceover? Lucky enough, right before the pandemic, I started building my home studio, started investing in a lot of equipment, and I was lucky enough to do a couple of projects. I was able to land an exclusive Spanish gig for this dairy company out in the Midwest, and I was their official voice. And it went pretty well. And because of those jobs and because of those gigs, I was able to ride the pandemic working from home in my home studio, and sending files to the clients.
I think that's great. You know what? We're going to do another segment with you. And if you don't mind, how to start in doing voiceovers. There's a whole bunch on the internet and everything like that. And, but there seems to be a lot of copycat YouTubers on how to do voiceovers. I could do the same thing on how to change an air filter in a 2014 Nissan Pathfinder just as well as the other 100 people do
Yeah.
it, and probably technically better, but duplication. But I definitely want to know. I'm working on it. I picked up a little bit of soundproofing equipment. I have the mic. I need to work on it, but
Yeah.
I think, there's a lot of people that still need to know. And if they can follow us on the hot seat here, I think that would be another great show, if you don't mind, because there's nothing like talking to the person that has been successful doing it. You don't
Abs-
you don't talk to the person who doesn't know what they're doing about something that you need to know what you're doing, you know. You don't talk to a broke person about how to make money.
that I've heard that saying before, and it was hard for me to start voiceover. I would reach out to people that I started following in the voiceover community, because just like the acting community, the voiceover community is very well known, even though they're in different parts of the country or the world. A lot of these people work from home, and I would reach out to these people that I would see that they've been successful and their voices was in certain commercials, and I wouldn't get a reply back. And you know what that did? That actually gave me more motivation to take it upon myself to learn and to get good accounts. And that's why when people come to me now and ask me questions about voiceover, about acting, about their headshots, or what should I do with this or with that, I never denied anybody my help, because it was denied to me when I was just starting in voiceover, and I never want to be that person.
And that's what you have to do. If somebody asks you, you have to reply to them. You can't ghost them because they're looking for your expertise. And if you can't address it, they just move along. And they're like, oh, well, I don't care if he posts something. I'm not listening to him because he ghosted me and he
Mhm.
didn't answer my question and he didn't do this. Well, you may not answer it within 5 minutes because it's, you get replies on YouTube and, it's some of the stuff we post. And I may not see it, but I did set my notifications now and I replied to them, which they appreciate.
Right.
So, you know, hopefully this could be something that could lead to, and that's what I'm trying to impress upon people, that if you have some expertise in an area of something, how to do plumbing, how to do some simple stuff, looking for do it yourselfers. And I'd like to have some recurring people on, like you, and there's several other people that can provide some real beneficial information. So that would be great because I want to learn.
Yeah, absolutely.
I want to do it. If you're not looking to do something to better yourself, then you just need to stay scrolling on TikTok. Because I do, I watch these videos and I'm like, I can't believe these people got like 2 million views for like dropping yogurt in a frying pan. I don't know.
Right.
It's like,
Yeah, that's
pardon
just
the pardon the language, but sometimes the stupider it
yeah,
is, the more popular.
yeah.
I'm like, okay, Pet Rock. Pet Rock. That guy's a millionaire laughing all the way to the bank.
Yeah.
We, you are involved in a Telemundo project. I had to look down at my notes here. And the translation in English, because I will probably brutalize it in Spanish, is come back to me.
Yes.
So maybe you can address some of our Spanish-speaking, Hispanic, Latino. We're really, that seems to be the market that we've been attracting, and I think it's a very big market that needs to be addressed, which is not part of the mainstream type movies. And,
Yeah.
we're doing some out west stuff. And my buddy, Marcus Davila, the American Coyote, and them. Oh, man, I'm going to have a whole bunch of people from San Antonio on my show coming up here. But you know what? Each one is doing something different. So please address um, maybe our Hispanic community without Telemundo.
Yeah. Well, I'm in two episodes of the telenovela Vuelve a mí. That right now it's being aired on Telemundo at 9/8 Central, and it stars with William Levy. And I'm in episode 52 and 53, which there is actually airing right now or streaming right now on Peacock. And I play a truck driver that is actually smuggling drugs through Mexico City, and I get caught, and I get myself in a real bad mess. So, and obviously this is with the narcos, and I'm not able to say who they are, and you just have to see the episodes. But it was a great opportunity. My agent called me up one day, and she said, "Hey, are you available for a Telemundo series?" And when she said that to me, I was just like, I couldn't believe it. I could not believe it. It was an amazing experience. They treated me very very well. So it was great. So you know, people could watch the telenovela. I believe it's actually coming to the end, but it's on Telemundo at 9/8 Central, or it's streaming right now on Peacock.
I'm happy for you.
Thank you.
I am happy. I am truly happy for the successes of other people. I am not a hater. I don't get jealous. Well, you should, because as people in the acting community, need to support each other.
Absolutely.
And hate is gonna hate. Sorry, I don't sing Taylor Swift, but support. We have haters,
Yeah.
but you know what? Don't
I've
it don't it should not. I wasn't
I
gonna. I just kind of had to think about not saying what I was gonna say.
Gre- Greg, let me I've had to just silence that. I don't know how other people what perspective they have of me, but I've learned to silence that. I've learned to focus on myself and what my goal is and what how I'm living my life and what I'm trying to do with my career. So that's if I have to give advice to anybody wanting to do this, is focus on yourself, focus on what your ultimate goal is and where you want to go. Don't focus on anybody else, because if you focus on other people, you're never going to be able to live your dream and your goal, because you're going to be living on other people's terms.
I couldn't have put it any better.
Yeah.
Sometimes I could be a little bit of, blunt. Really, I'm not going to rant,
Yeah.
because you're saying everything that I believe in. So I would rather have you say it than me, because they listen to me and they're like, oh yeah, but when you listen to somebody else reiterate your same beliefs,
Yeah.
you need to listen to them, and that's the way it is. You're working on a short film. It's not about cooking, right?
It's
Recipe?
it actually
Is it?
is about cooking. It's called The Recipe. It's from a writer from Tampa, Tunice
Okay.
Evans. This is like a trilogy that she's been writing different stories, and I looked at the script, and I'm at the point where I'm gonna get involved in a project if I see a potential happening or something good is gonna come out of. And I love the project. I love the cast, the people that's in there, and this is gonna be my first short film that I'm gonna be involved in for the beginning of the year. So I'm excited about that. It's gonna be shooting on February 2nd and 3rd in Tampa.
I wish I was here to see that. It's unfortunate when a lot of things go on, but I have other commitments to do, a little bit of traveling. You know what? I try not to remain sedentary, but, you know, what is that? A rolling stone gathers no moss.
Exactly.
And in
And
this
and
case, no
and,
moss.
and we all go through it. Whatever people see on social media or they see in front of the screen, there's times that I don't even want to be able to get up. But you know what? This is what drives me and it's what gets me up.
It has to. The whole motivation in the acting community. Some people have it, some people don't. And we're going to discuss something in there. We're going to talk about one more thing here. As you being a producer in this like docuseries that you're working on, and some other projects in here, what are the, I would say, biggest, most prevalent challenges that you run into?
Commitment, discipline. A lot of people don't have that. And I'm a true believer that if you want to be successful in anything, it doesn't have to be show business. You have to have some sort of commitment and some sort of discipline. Um, if you need to get up early in the morning, go to bed early so that way you're fresh and ready for your day. If you need to lose 5 pounds or 10 pounds because of your role, go ahead and do that. There's a lot of people that don't have that commitment. There's a lot of people or a lot of actors. I'm speaking from what I know that don't have that. There's been actors that have been given the opportunity to have a good role, and they just decide not to show up the day of the shoot. And it just to me, it just blows my mind. You're giving a great opportunity, and you just decide not to show up. And it's not because you had an emergency. It's just you just didn't feel like showing up. And it happens, Greg. It happens a lot more than you think. People just not showing up and letting opportunities just slip by.
That happened to us in Grinders. I don't even remember the person's name, and if I did, I wouldn't mention
Right.
their name because it's just not right. Where we were getting ready to shoot Saturday morning and Friday night, this person called the director and said, "Oh, I don't feel like this part is right for me. You've had how many weeks to figure out that this part was not right for you? 9 o'clock the night before we're going to shoot."
Right.
Well, If I had a video of what went on with that phone call, you would be amazed. I don't think you would actually, some people wouldn't actually believe it. But the commitment was, you didn't care if you sabotaged the film.
Right.
We don't know the reason, but you've had weeks. You kind of signed a contract and, all the paperwork that went through, and then you feel that this part is not right for you. Well, karma decided to show up, and we picked up a replacement at the last minute. Okay, I'll be there. And let me tell you what, the person who bailed out, they missed out on an opportunity of a lifetime. Because look at where
Absolutely.
we are now.
Yeah. Look where you guys are at. So,
Look where we are now. And whether you care about where we're at, obviously you probably don't, but who cares? We don't care. We,
right.
we care about where we are now. And like in your case, it's time, it's money. And if you don't care about the other people involved in the production, you know what? You're that kind of person, and word gets around. And
Yeah.
word got around. And we kind of found out a little bit about what their reasoning was. Let's get back to haters. You
You,
know, it
speaking
was
of haters,
sabotage.
yeah.
Yeah.
Speaking of haters, Greg, where I'm in a small market. Florida is a very small market. A lot of people know each other. Actors from Tampa, Orlando, Jacksonville, and in my few years of doing, film and things like that, I've been called many names. I've been called anywhere from immature child to Mr. Hollywood because of the way I run my sets when I'm producing. But I feel like if you don't have a degree of discipline and a degree of professionalism, then this is just a hobby. And I'm not here for a hobby. I'm here to try to make something develop and change my life and other people's lives.
And like you said, it's called show business,
Yep.
not show hobby,
Right.
which if people want to just make films because that's what they enjoy doing, I support them. I have, even it's not going to be one of those if and when something successful happens and we're looking at something, it's not going to change me. And I personally will not look down on other people because oh look, look where we are and look where you are. No, you can't do that. You just have a little bit different mentality, and hopefully with the success you can mentor other people and maybe provide them a blueprint on how to possibly reach a different level. But
Right.
if you just want to do it and be at this level, I think that's great.
Yeah.
If you ask me to do something and be a part of your project, I'll come and do it. Hey, you say, well, man, I'd love to come be a part of your project. Well, we can't pay you. That's fine. It's not about the money. Uh, uh, it's about supporting and helping the other people in the community, and and in like what you're talking about. Be there. If you said, I need you to come to Orlando, and I want you to be a part of something. Okay, if I'm available, I will do whatever I can to be there, just so I could work with you and be part of it and just keep it going. So it's not all about the money, it's about supporting the other people in there. But don't be afraid to ask the people who are very knowledgeable for help.
Right.
And that's the key that we're trying to do with this show. Support the people that are out there. Help them. Help yourself grow.
Yeah.
And that's really where we're going.
Yeah.
You know, and I think what you're doing is great. I follow it and I'm like, wow, that's pretty cool. I'd love to get into voiceovers, just really don't know a lot about it, or I'd love to be a part of something, but sometimes my scheduling is like, oh, I can't be involved in something. I'd love to come down to Miami and spend a night or two down there.
Yeah.
Hopefully it's cost effective.
Right.
I don't know anybody who lives down there, so it's not like, hey, can I spend the night, to
Yeah.
crash down there, just to be a part and to see the way other people are working on their projects. To me, I'm always willing to learn, and it's like, wow, that was pretty cool. And like you said, oh, well, you're too Hollywood and you're too strict. You know what? When you show up on a set, things have to go.
Right.
And you're the small part, of the big project. So go do your part and do the very best you can to not disrupt.
Yeah.
Don't be the cog in the wheel and create an issue, because now you're talking about film etiquette, and that's somebody that I have planned on being on the show that's going to talk about film etiquette. They're actually writing a book about it.
Nice.
And you will learn, like they say, like The Rock says, know your role
Yeah.
in
And
there.
and just piggybacking a little bit on what you're saying, um, I believe in discipline. To this day, I still go every 6 months and see my acting coach and spend a couple of days with them, and I stay evolving and learning. Um, it just I, blows my mind when I hear new actors coming into the scene and said that they don't need to take acting classes because they're naturals. And we constantly, as artists, have to be evolving. So my suggestion is to a lot of new actors is keep learning, keep evolving, keep changing, because we constantly have to be changing in this industry. Um, we saw what happened with the SAG, strike. I mean, the industry changes every single day, and we have to be, you know, keep ourselves up to date. And that, to me, that is one of the things that I really really, it gets to me when new actors, and I see on social media, say that they've never taken a day of acting in their life because they're naturals. And I don't I don't agree with that. I really don't.
I I agree with you, 1,000%. I have not taken a true acting class, but I do watch videos and read. Even if I read something, it I absorb it, and I watch other people, and I watch movies, and I watch a movie to watch the actors, and it's amazing. I know there's a lot involved, with it, and there's a lot of time that they do, and of course they do scenes over and over again. But I watch them, and that's how I try to learn certain roles. I try to do different roles. I don't want to be, typecast as a sheriff, or like in The Undead, the leader of the apocalypse. But that was kind of good. I was saved by Ellie Kate. I'd love to have her on in here. I followed her career since she was a little kid, and now I'm like, wow,
Yeah.
she's out there on stage. I think that's great. But to watch other people, you just, I don't know. I just try to be myself and put myself in that role, as you're in roles, and how would I behave in this? It's not like how would I act in it. How would I behave in this role, being a trucker, getting stopped, being arrested, being, how would I feel? So you need to place yourself in there.
Yeah.
Nobody can tell you how to do it. It's how would you feel, you would do that? Well, I don't consider myself a natural. And if you read all these little anecdotes by all the great people, Sir Anthony Hopkins and all these others, it's just, they never talk about acting
Yeah.
in the role. They talk about placing yourself in the role, being
Absolutely.
prepared for the role. How
Yeah.
would you interpret it? But if the director is like, I like what you did, but do it this way. So you have to have the flexibility and being able to adapt to it. So you being on set and saying, I think that was great, but maybe if you kind of okay, and don't be belligerent to what the director is telling you because that's his job. And
Right.
and if he wants you to change it, change it. Oh, that was great. You know what that does to you because you adapted to what he was asking you to do.
Yeah. I did a project, and first thing I ever did, the director came up to me and he said to me, "Where have you been all my life?" I thought that was the funniest thing, but the best compliment I've ever gotten on a set.
It it does. That just boosts your
Yeah.
confidence, not your ego. We're
Yeah.
not about having egos in here. It boosts your confidence. And I work. I have a part-time job and I really enjoy it. I'm probably not, I shouldn't mention the name of where I work, but it's a great environment. I get to watch sports and I get to watch concerts and I help people. I'm there to engage with people, make sure they have a good time, make sure they're safe, build memories. And there's probably like well over 600 people, in the building. But I could walk through the building, and I had somebody come up to me, and it's like, "That was you in that commercial, right?" I'm like, "Yeah." I didn't know you did commercials. I was like, "Well, I just don't go around telling
Right.
everybody." I'm gonna make that T-shirt. I'm an actor. I'm like, and they're, wow, man, that was good. Okay, well, great. And that was funny. And then I saw something else you were in, and I was like, thanks, I appreciate that. And they're like, you don't say a whole lot. I says, no, I don't run around yelling, I'm an actor. And but it's a great feeling when, people recognize some of your accomplishments. It
Right.
just, I'm pretty humble, I think.
And
Other people, go ahead.
I feel, and maybe you agree with me, maybe you don't, but I feel like it all comes with, you know, maturity. I don't want to say age, but it also comes with maturity, how
Let's
we
not talk,
handle certain things,
let's
you
not talk
know.
about age.
Yeah. It's how we handle things. Um, Maybe another point in time in my life, uh, I I will feel differently. I probably was more immature, and maybe I would be my ego will be different than what it is now. But now that I feel more mature, I feel like I can handle uh, certain things and certain projects, and that people see me. Okay, he's doing work. He's doing great. And I'm able to take those compliments and not let them get to my head. Because at the end of the day, I'm still, my family treats me the same way. They don't see me any different. My son sees me the same way. He's a typical teenager, and he doesn't really. He just knows that that's my job.
That's what you do. And again, it it keeps you humble. Maturity. I'm older than most, but younger than some. But it this wouldn't have happened 20 years ago, 10 years ago. It started 5 years ago. Like, hey, you want to be in a commercial and this little offshoot thing? That's how it started, you know.
Mhm.
But it really hasn't changed me. If anything, it kind of took me down a little bit. Not cocky. I won't say I was always cocky. I used to be shy. When I was little, I was bullied because my brother was 3 years older than I, and his friends, and I was, that's what they do,
Right.
in many years ago, and well, things changed, and when I got bigger, we were able to karma,
Come
hey,
back.
meet my friend Karma, and now we're going to
Yeah.
jack you up. We
Yeah.
used to get, yeah. So, but I don't run around going, oh, me too. Well,
Yeah.
now if you look at somebody wrong, oh, he visually assaulted me. Well, why did you look at me like that? Because that's the way I look. What do you mean? I didn't look, oh, you, you, I something, you looked at me in that tone of voice. I was like, what?
Yeah.
You want to hear a tone of voice? Now I'm going to give you a tone of voice. But, you know, and we'll get ready to wrap this up. We can go on because this
Oh,
is
we
great.
can. Yeah. Yeah. We
Yeah,
can
this is a
definitely
great
do.
show. These hour and a half podcasts, I don't do those. We hit and run here. But gentleman I worked with helped me out a lot when I had my own business. He goes, "You make up my mind for me," and that's how you react to the way people approach you. And again,
Right.
I deal with hundreds. I'm around. Typically there's 19,000 people where I'm at, but I don't deal with 19,000 people. I deal with a lot of people.
Right.
And regardless of how people feel they're entitled, which is, you know, the it's so different than when I
Yeah.
grew up. Like they say, I'm my father's age. Well,
And
I will always be my father's age.
you know, and saying almost the same thing as you. Um, to me, when I would hear that certain people or certain actors that were I would see in film, they were shy. I said, how could it be shy? I grew up as a shy kid. I was very shy growing up. I was so shy, and my mom can attest to that. And when I tell people, I'm shy. I'm a shy person. They don't believe it. But I really, really, in my personal space, I'm a very shy person.
I kind of, I'm not, yeah. I can, my wife says, you know that person? I'm like, no. Well, you talk to them like you've known them for years. I'm like, well, that's the way I speak to people. Or people will come up to me and, oh, well, they feel like they can talk to you. Well, that is the energy that you give off, which I do believe. That was part of my, my martial arts training is to be able to feel other people's energy,
Yeah.
and they don't even have to say a word. And if people feel comfortable around you, I think that's great. Or I wouldn't even walk near. That people just don't. You can feel their vibe.
Yeah.
I hope more people can do that. But in what's going on today, to where God, the entitlement and feel that what gives you the right?
Yeah.
What gives you the right to say those things? And I'm going to tell you right now. You remember those shirts? Mean people suck. They need to bring that shirt back. It's like, you know, God. Well, okay. I rant over. You think we said enough about that? We can go on
We
about
can go
people, but
on. Yeah,
yeah,
we can
well,
go on.
I got to stop watching those road rage videos. It's like, oh, you honked at me. Oh my God, the guy. It's like I see it downtown. Guy stopped in the middle of the road for no reason, and somebody went beep beep. He got out screaming, "Oh my!" And we were walking through downtown, and everybody was like, "Honk honk 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 beep beep beep." Just
He just got triggered.
he got he got back in his car and he left, and the guy who was behind him, he kind of was like, gave us the thumbs up, like, "Stop,
Yeah.
stop drinking." Well, I think we've come to the end of the show. We've eventually got to end it, but this is. Oh man, I keep saying these shows just get better and better. Not to say my other shows were worse; they just get better and better. The conversation and the people you deal with. You know what? I love doing these shows and having people like yourself, and we had Skeeter Biscuit and the actors, and sorry, I don't have all the list of the people, but if you go to our YouTube channel, Greg Cardone, The Hot Seat, you'll see the episodes and the Facebook page, and get more and more people. And I saw some of the comments that that your friends, "Oh, I can't wait to see it. I can't wait to see it." I'd love to have them on. I don't care what they talk about. You want to talk about bonsai trimming? Get some
And that,
bonsai plants in
yeah.
here. Goat
and
yoga.
and you're doing a great thing. Just
Thank
promoting
you.
people, helping them with their career, getting the word out, getting them out there. A lot of times people try to do something that's going to benefit them, and this platform that you have, it benefits the other party also. So it's, I mean, I once you reach out to me and ask me to come on the show, I didn't hesitate to say yes.
You are all over it, and that, not going to go into it too much again, but I've had guests. Well, they're not guests because they haven't been on my show. A list. I have an Excel spreadsheet of the people I've reached out to at the very beginning, and it was like, wow, I've got shows. I don't, I can do them in 2 weeks and not have to do another show for 6 months. And I understand people get busy, so
Yeah.
and then the holidays, because we started right before the holidays and Thanksgiving and then Christmas, and I'm with my family, and I totally understand that. But I will not beg you to be on my show. I'd rather not do a show because I'm not going to beg people who are on, in my database, and I understand they're busy. And that's just the way it is. So if for some reason I don't get somebody, there won't be a show.
Yeah.
It's just the way it is. It's not like we have to do this show every week or else.
Right.
If
And
you don't
something
want to, go ahead.
something I've learned, Greg, is that in this industry, take whatever opportunities you can grab. If somebody's reaching out for you because they want you to be on their podcast or their show or to be on the hot seat, take it. Take it, because you never know who's listening, what's going to come out of the opportunities that might open. Um, Before I did the Telemundo novela, I was so nervous that I was very close on not going and canceling, um, to my agent and telling them I couldn't make it. But I said to myself, if I don't do it, somebody else is going to do this. And this opportunity, I'm going to lose it. And who knows where my life could go after this. So I'm a firm believer that if somebody is extending an opportunity to you, whatever it is that they see, and it doesn't have to be in show business, it could be at your job as a teacher, as an attorney, as a clerk, as a receptionist. If somebody's giving you an opportunity to better yourself or just a platform, go ahead and take it, because you never know what can come out of.
That's how I try to explain it. But we're seeing. I've been meeting different people in some pretty interesting aspects in careers and jobs, and for me, by networking and meeting them, I don't expect anything in return. If you say, "Hey, Greg, you know what? I've got something," that's great. So don't ever expect, if you do something, don't ever expect anything in return, because then you'll never be disappointed. I like to
Right.
be surprised. And if something that I do and somebody sees it, like somebody, who your friends who sees and they want to be on the show and something comes about, I think that's great. But again, there is no expectation for me to have a guest on the show. And it's only a lost opportunity from there. So
Absolutely. Absolutely.
this has been great in 4 years of catching up.
Yeah. Yes.
It's amazing, the connection that you feel, and who knows, where something is going to go. And I don't promise anything because I am not the person. But like when our sequels, we already have Grinders 4
Nice.
kind of in a story already. And that's what, Andrew, he goes, well, I got an idea, for how we can go from Grinders 2 to Grinders 3. And it's not all going to be the same. Oh, well, it's another movie with the same. It's not. And that's the beauty. And I give a ton of credit to Andrew J. Heller, you know, director, screenwriter, producer, actor for Grinders, because of his ideas and listening to the ideas and coming up where you're like, wow, we already thought about the fourth one. And you're like, each one is just going to get better,
Yeah.
going with that. So, you never know. And it's like, hey, Andrew, you know what? I know this person that I think they might be good.
And I wanna thank you, Greg, for the invitation. Um, you know that we known each other for a few years now, and I've seen how your career has, developed. So I'm very happy for that, and all your projects. So thank you for having me here at the hot seat, and your sponsors, and keep at it, keep growing.
Time goes by when you're having fun, and we have a lot of fun on the hot seat here. So if you would like to be on the hot seat or sponsor, advertised, that would be great. You can reach us at the hot seat 813 at gmail.com. Don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe. That would be great. Thank you for joining us. It's a beautiful day for an interview. Won't you be my guest?